Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for spending time with us for this session, short session. My name is Themin. I'm the Dean for the Postgraduate Programs at SMU, and my colleague, Professor Anthony Tay, from the School of Economics, will tell you a little bit more about our programs within the SOE, from the SOE school. But let me take the first few minutes to tell you a little bit more about our entire portfolio of master's program. I understand that you may be looking at different kind of programs. So this is where we are in terms of the offerings we have at SMU. First of all, we are a specialized university. We are a niche university in that sense. The M in SMU is management. So we are very, very good at the things that we do within the management space. And this is business, finance, accounting, econs, anything related to management in general is what the university is specializing in. All right. And again, that can be extended to law, to IS, and so on, but we are very focused on management and business. Now, obviously, we also have our sister body that within our SMU itself that do the research programs. Now, my programs here are all what we call the professional programs. Some people call them the coursework program, which is actually not quite true because PhD also have coursework. Our programs also have some research elements. So it's not really right to call it coursework versus research, but this is our professional postgraduate programs that we have under my care at SMU. So just to give you a quick rundown on the topics, on the programs that we have, I have color coded them. Obviously, it means nothing to you, but it helps us to see them in different colors. The blue bits are from our School of Business. Now, School of Business is obviously the largest school within our university, and the programs I have here, these are on the left-hand side here. This is what we call General Management Program. They are broadening type program. They are meant to help somebody who is already specialized in a particular domain and want to expand very quickly into knowledge on a lot of things in a very short time. A broad coverage. This is a typical MBA structure or management structure. On the right-hand side here, you see these are our finance program from a more post-experience wealth management program, our applied finance or our quantitative finance. There's a bit more quant compared to the applied finance. And the next three boxes here are what we call what the business school call a specialized masters from their perspective. The rest of the programs are actually very specialized as well, but this is for human capital, communications management, and innovation. Majority in fact, all the programs here, you can see I put the small little descriptions at the bottom. How long will it take to do full-time? How long will it take to do part-time? And when do they start? So there's some basic information in there if you are interested. My accountancy school has two programs. My IS school has an MITB program that offers a number of tracks. And later on, as you know, Anthony will tell you a little bit more about the two offerings within the School of Econs. And the last two are from my law colleagues, where they have the JD program and then the Master of Laws or LLL program. The JD program is a qualifying law degree, and that's the one that takes it's actually the longest program we have at SMU. So if you are choosing based on the length of time, JD is the one that you'll be looking at, because that's a 3-year full-time program to qualify as a lawyer in Singapore. And then obviously there's the LLM, as I said. So just before I pass on pass the floor to Anthony, just want to quickly tell you that today at this Headhunt event, obviously they are the chat live sessions that are available. Every school that you're interested in, we have chat for the whole day, chat room available. I think it's called Zone 1 for the whole day. So if you go to the Headhunt website and you say Zone 1, and you will find our schools there, including our research PhD programs are there as well. If that is your interest, you can find us over there. And again, if you really want to come, if you really feel that, you want something deeper and something more engaging in terms of what we have from our own side, may I please invite you to come to our own event on our Master's Day on the 3rd of October, Saturday, 3rd of October. That's going to be more intimate because we're going to have, some time to do things with you just with us, with our program. So our students, our alumni panel, hearing from what students have gone through, hearing from all the program directors together in a panel session, hearing from our career services people, and so on. I think that can be something that is quite beneficial as well. Whether you have sort of finalized your choice of a postgraduate programs or not, I think that's probably worth going. So if you want, you could please sign up for that. The website that you want to go to is within our SMU own entry point, SMU.edu.sg/Masters Day, and that's when you can sign up for that one. So without further ado, let me please have the pleasure of introducing my good friend here, Professor Anthony Thay. He looks naturally younger now without the additional features on his facial features. But Professor Anthony Thay is the Associate Dean for Postgraduate at the School of Economics. He obviously looks after again the MSc and MSFE, but he's actually also one of the few who looks after all the other postgraduate research programs as well from the school. So he has a wealth of experience and knowledge that he can share with you about the two programs. So without further ado, Anthony, this is all yours. I'm going to mute myself, stop screen sharing, and stop my video, and we'll come back later on for Q&A.
All right, thank you very much, Themin. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so you should be seeing my slides and hearing me. So is everything good?
Yes, Anthony, it's a very good. So just one final thing before I pass to you, you continue. There is a Q&A bottom at the bottom of the Zoom screen. So if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box, not the chat box. I think they disabled the chat box. It's only for the panelists and to you. So Q&A questions, please do it in the questions. Put it in the Q&A box. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Thank you. All right, so thanks for the introduction, Themin. With that, I think I can skip the first slide, which is just to introduce myself, and also a nice little montage showing some of my colleagues and some of the students that we have in our programs. Right, so I'll be talking to you today about the MSE and MSFE, the Master of Science in Econ, and the Master of Science in Financial Economics. These two programs are obviously just two out of a much larger portfolio of programs that we have within the school. Okay, and as Themin mentioned, also just part of the very large portfolio of PGP professional programs that we have at SMU. Just a little bit of advertising before I tell you a little bit more about the programs. So the university is a very young university, so our school is a very young school, but we have, I think, done very well over the past 20 years. Naturally, each different econ departments will have different strengths. Our particular strength is in econometrics. In terms of econometrics research, we are first in Asia and top 10 worldwide. Okay, in Tilburg University's ranking of economic schools research. Okay, and for overall economics research, including international trade, microtheory, macro, and all that, we are ranked 79th in the world. Okay, so I think we have done ourselves, we've done a good job over the past 20 years. Okay, and we are improving year on year. Okay, enough of the advertisement. Let me now tell you a little bit more about the MSE and MSFE. So the MSE, we have two tracks. One is, we call it the Applied Economics track, and the other is the Econometrics and Quantitative Economics track, so AE and EQ. The Applied Econ track is really meant for people who want careers as professional economists, but also very beneficial for other people in other professions that would benefit from some degree of sophisticated economic thinking. So you could be a statistician, working on economic data, or, well, this is a very, very wide range of careers that use economic thinking. Okay, not just statistics, but we have had people from many, many different sectors come through our programs, okay, including lawyers, doctors, people in the health industry, people in the insurance industry, people in the commodities trading industry, and so on and so forth. Okay, as long as you think, as long as there is some economic thinking involved, I think this program, this particular track is good for you. The Econometrics and Quant Econ track for people interested in careers that require or that do rigorous quantitative economics research, lots of data analysis, okay, or perhaps interested in going for further graduate studies in economics, okay, to establish themselves in full research, economics research careers. The MSFE is SMU's first multidisciplinary program combining economics, finance, within economics, primarily macro and econometrics, okay? And designed for people interested in careers in the finance industry, involving financial data analysis, product development, portfolio management, financial research, insurance, and so forth. So really more, I would say more back office than front office, right? If you want to see where graduates in MSFE place, okay? But they really place outside of the finance industry as well, as I'll show you in a little bit. Okay. So just a sample of the courses, the kind of courses that you would do in either the MSE or the MSFE. Okay, both programs will train you in the core components of economics. We call them microeconomics, macroeconomics, and econometrics. Okay, and in the MSE list, it's a pretty long list over here. The first half of this list is mostly applied economics. Second half is in the econometrics and quant econ track. Right, in the top half, you will see courses like health econ, money and banking, and international finance, all about financial crisis, macro accounts, public finance, how you look at the macroeconomic accounts of countries and try to spot the difficulties that those countries may face over the next few years, and come up with policy recommendations, international trade, competition law, things like that. In the lower half, you see the more data analytic type courses, panel econometrics, time series econometrics, as well as more advanced microeconomic, macroeconomic analysis. MSFE, we have courses, as you would expect, spread over finance and economics. We have things like empirical finance, which is really asset pricing theory from an empirical perspective. We have corporate finance. We have continuous time financial economics, which is not so much on the data analysis side, but more on the financial economics reasoning. And then we have a whole bunch of courses that are really very industry oriented. So hedge funds and quant strategies, alternative investments, these are taught by people, by practitioners, right, from industry. So the MSFE really has a very strong industry component as well. All right. So now that I've sort of given you an overview of the kinds of courses that we have within these two programs, as well as the objectives of the two programs and the tracks within Applied Econ and the EQ track, let me go deeper into how we're delivering these programs, okay, and some of the features of these programs. I like to point out these 5 things when I talk about my 2 programs, okay. The features that I like to highlight are that it is a rigorous program, yet practical, okay. It is flexible, comes with the trademark SMU education, with the interactive pedagogy, and this is true of all SMU PG programs, all SMU programs. For the PG programs, we also have a strong emphasis on career preparation, job market training, professional development, okay, and of course, alumni and industry networking. Now, I say the program is rigorous because we do take you through fairly uncompromisingly courses in micro, macro, in econometric theory. This forms the analytical framework, okay, upon which all of the other econ and finance courses are built. So, the program ensures that you have a strong framework, all right, to move on to analysis in labor economics or, the economics of growth and poverty and inequality and things like that. They're all built on microeconometrics principles and all of the data analysis that you do built on econometric principles. A program that is rigorous sometimes runs, has the risk of being, too theoretical and a little bit too impractical. We make sure that our programs have a deep connections with industry. All of our programs include instructors who are actually industry practitioners or have been deeply involved in, say, policy making, okay, or as have, perhaps there might be practice track professors now, but they have several years in industry practice. So we make sure that our programs have a nice balance between theoretical foundations as well as applications, all right? So that's the practical side. The programs are flexible in that we've set things up so that, there's possibilities of cross-program enrollment. So if you're an economics, an applied econ track student, you still have options to take some courses from the econometrics track. And in fact, you will have an option to take, one course from, in fact, another program completely, okay? So we built this sort of flexibility in so that you can sort of craft a program of study, okay, that's suited for your particular needs, your particular intentions. It's flexible also in that we are able, one of the few econ programs, econ master's programs that can accommodate non-econ majors. Yeah. So as I said, we have had engineers, statisticians, mathematicians, biologists, horticulturalists, lawyers, doctors come through our programs. These might be people who want to stay in their careers, but are perhaps moving up, the management ladder, and feeling that they need to understand economic concepts, economic principles, to develop that economic way of thinking to help them in their careers. We have had a few who have joined us because they want to switch careers. They want to get out of public utility engineering to economics or to banking, and they've used the MSE and MSFE as tools, as a vehicle to do that. Okay, so I'll tell you how we do this, but this is a program not just for non-econ majors, but it's also for econ majors. Okay, so even if you're econ major, this program adds to what you have learned in the undergraduate econ degree, which is basically bringing in, okay, through a different pathway, a way for non-econ majors to join us. And third is flexible in that it can accommodate part-time study. Now this is for MSE only. MSFE, we are not able to accommodate part-time study. But if you're interested in the MSE, part-time study is available for you. For locally based students. So we can't take international students on part-time study due to immigration rules. Okay, so we have all that as SMU education, which is very interactive. You get, you're very close to the professors. We don't teach in the lecture style. Okay, our classes are our classes are conversations. Okay, I like to say. All right. And then we have a very, very good postgraduate career services, getting better every year, getting better every year, okay, that help you in preparing yourself, for the job market. And we also have professional development workshops that help you develop work-life skills, okay, so that you come out as a well-rounded individual and not just, not just an economics geek, right? So you have other skills in negotiation, in conflict management and things like that. Okay. So what do our programs look like, all right, in terms of the structure? Basically, we have foundations, courses, foundations in economics that we put all the non-econ majors through. We have electives in, statistics and mathematics that students who perhaps have a less quantitative background can take. Okay, statistical inference, we have the math camp, and we put students from outside the economics, without economics prior training, we put them through these foundations. These components, typically students from econ majors would skip, okay, and they'll go directly into the core component where you get your rigorous training in micro, macro econometrics. Okay, so the foundations part is basically where we get how we get the non-economists into the program. We have a broad range of electives that I've already showed you that allow for comprehensive training. So you can choose electives that span a wide area of economics, or you can say, hey, I want to get into policy making. Okay, so you take a little bit of econometrics, but then you focus your courses on policy electives. We have the open elective, where you can take courses from other programs. Okay, and then we have, we allow students to take industry electives. I've already mentioned that to you. If you want, you can take an internship as well. Okay, we have all of those things available for you. Okay, so full-time study for MSE and MSFE, typically 10 months, 2 years is max, okay, to allow for situations where, you have to take a leave of absence for a term or something like that. And then we have part-time options for the MSE, all right? So typically these students would take it's a little under 2 years, excuse me, to 2.5 years. Maximum candidature is 4 years. Part-time study, here's the qualifier. Part-time study primarily for students on the applied econ track. Okay, so applied econ electives are held in the evenings, okay, on Saturdays, so that working students can take these electives. The Econometrics and Quant Econ track courses are held weekday daytime mostly. But if you are able to take weekday daytime classes on a part-time basis, you can also take this track part-time, okay? So we have a few students doing that. These are students who have employers who give them time off to take daytime classes. And in fact, we have a few Econometrics quant-econ students where their program is actually being funded by their employer. Okay, the employer says, we want you to learn these skills, go and take this as part of your work. Okay, so for these type of students, if you want to do it part-time, we can accommodate, yeah, as long as you can take weekday daytime classes. Excuse me. Another caveat, part-time study available only to Singaporeans, PRs, and those already locally based, okay, with employment or dependent passes. Right, so I mentioned this, professional development series, career services. We also give you little extras, okay, like alumni, industry networking events. And because now programming skills are becoming more and more important for everybody, basically, I'm also providing Python coding workshops off curriculum. Okay, for instance, these are, you know, I guess some of my PhD students to do this. Okay, so that you can on your, you know, pick up a little bit of coding skills. That's a lot of people are finding very useful these days. Okay. So that's pretty much the structure and content of the programs. Let me just, you know, give a quick introduction to some of the people who will be teaching you. As I've mentioned, we have research faculty, we have education practice track professors. These are people with either specializations in sort of specializing in economic pedagogy or, you know, have industry experience. But we also have industry and policy practitioners, okay, teaching on the program. This is the full, this is all my colleagues at the School of Econ, okay? Not all of them will be teaching on the master's program. I'll introduce some of those to you, highlight them to you, but we also have adjunct professors, okay, teaching you. So let me just quickly mention a few of these professors to you. The research professors, Surajit Chatterjee, Junyu. Surajit is a micro theorist specializing in mechanism design, that sort of inverse game theory. You want an outcome, how do you design the game? So auction theory, contract theory, all that comes into the picture. Jun is one of the top financial econometricians in the world. Okay, he teaches a number of courses on the MSFE and then MSc. Here's an example of a policy practitioner, Josh Green, who has spent his career at the IMF training central bankers, Ministry of Finance personnel. He's a public finance expert. He teaches basically what he used to teach, you know, the policymakers. He's teaching students on the MSE now. Kim Song is a practice track professor, a lot of industry experience, but now lecturing full-time. Some of our other, you know, Madhav is an education professor, Chen Xiao is statistics lecturer. And we have industry practitioners, just two of them mentioned here. Lip Hang, a competition economist, works very closely with the CCS or sometimes against the CCS, okay, depending on the case. And Amish is a data scientist working in a hedge fund. A couple of students here, just a sample, okay. Aaron Martin was a pharmacist, wanted to get more into the economic side, health econ side of his industry. So he came, did well, and now working for Ministry of Health. Savina, I forget what her background was, but she's working at Citibank now. Yaka is working at GIC, okay, research data management. And here's an example of someone who went outside of the finance industry, graduated from the MSFE, now working for Microsoft as a fraud operations analyst. Okay. The MSE is quite new, so I don't have a diagram for you. A lot of them are part-time students who've got stayed in their careers. But MSFE, we have placed, as I mentioned, in in the finance industry, in banks, product development. Some have gone on to do a PhD. Okay. So what do we need from you if you're interested in this program? Again, I emphasize we consider all majors. Okay, and those without econ quant backgrounds, we'll make you take foundational courses before proceeding with the rest of the program. But we are able, okay, to consider all majors. Okay, and the rest is fairly standard, I think. All good master's programs will require some sort of GRE GMAT score. If you're not first degree, not in English, will require some sort of English testing score as well. All right. Okay. So that's pretty much my presentation. All right. Applications, if you're interested for this August intake, applications will open for August 21 intake. The applications will open in October. We will have updated fees, scholarship information available at that time. But prior to that, you're free to get in touch with us. Okay. You can write to either of those emails. Okay. We have a pretty small team running the program, so you can write there to ask anything you like about the MSE, MSFE. Michelle, who's here in this presentation, will get back to you or forward it to me where appropriate. Okay. Yeah, so that's my presentation. I'm not going to talk about the PhD in Econ program, but if you're interested, you can also get in touch with us or go to the PhD side of Headhunt and you'll find us there. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, that's it. So, Themin, I'll stop sharing now.
Sure. Thank you, Anthony.
All right, fantastic. Yeah.
In some way, I was glad that it ended at 23 because I was watching the slide number and I didn't know you have the last 10 packed away for a PhD. so I didn't have to rush it along. So yes, as I said, Anthony does both the professional postgraduate program and the research programs as well. There is actually, I believe, an info session for PhD research programs at 3:10. So an info session like this at 3:10 that you can sign up for. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, the live chat continues throughout the day for the research programs.
Yeah. I won't actually be at the PhD presentation, but we have our very good colleagues from the PGR office there.
Right. Anthony, I've got a couple of questions here. Yeah. That perhaps I can ask you and you can help us within the next we have about 5 minutes to go. So what sort of one question is that what sort of, you talk about foundation and no foundation and so on and so on. The question from Shubangi was how many modules is needed to graduate?
From Shubangi? Okay. Right. So the total number, well, at the moment, the total number is 10 CUs. To graduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
the foundations is parked under that total number of CUs of courses, so that if you are exempted from taking foundations because you have an econ background, you're determined to have completed that those courses.
Yeah. Okay. The next question would be two things. One from Yu Xiang. What's a good score to get into your program? A GMAT or GRE score to get into your program?
Okay. So for GMAT, basically it's 600. Okay, it's sort of like the minimum. Okay, we expect something a little bit higher. For your GRE scores, you should be looking at 70 percentile and above. Um, um, Having said that, I would say that those numbers are not hard minimums. We look at application portfolios as a whole, and we see whether there are other aspects in your portfolio that's very, very strong. Perhaps you have very, very good working experience, which is not required but considered. Okay, or you come from a interesting background that we feel can contribute to the classroom. We will consider that as well. If you're a little bit weaker in English but very strong in math, we take that into consideration. Okay, but if you're too far below 600 GMAT, I think that it might be difficult to get in. You should be aiming for 600 and above.
And I think part of if I may just add a little bit, part of it is not because, we are snobbish or anything else, but we really want to maximize the opportunity for success, both for you and for the program. And we want to be sure that you are not going to be too far off from everybody else in the class. And that will make your learning experience not as pleasant. And at the same time, making sure that everybody have some element of contribution they can bring into the class. So the GMAT indicative scoring and so on for all programs is really not about whether you are good enough or not good enough, but we're just trying to maximize our chance of success by making sure that you do have the basic input, academic input level to be able to participate fully in the program. Taking somebody perhaps on a slightly lower side, then would disadvantage you in the long run. And I think that's where we are at. There's a related to that, you mentioned work experience is useful and so on. I assume you said just now there are people in your program that already have work experience. Can you share a little bit about the average working experience of people who have experience when they come into your program? This is a question from Kashmira.
Okay. So typically, they will have 4 to 5 years of experience, but we have students with substantially more years of experience, 10, and in a few cases, even more than that. Okay, the average age of our cohorts is getting younger, partly because we are having more fresh graduates as well. Okay, but also because the working experience people are coming in earlier than they used to. In terms of background, as I've mentioned, we have a really, really wide range. Okay, lots of econ majors, of course, but we've also had, like I said, biologists, engineers, who are all, and in one case, even an English major who succeeded, all right, completed the program. Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony. Again, just before I close and pass this back on to our lovely host, a couple of admin, messages I passed on earlier. There is the live chat in Zone 1 within Headhunt, so you please can continue some of our conversation and questions you have with our advisors within the different schools and the research programs as well in there at the Headhunt Fair. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are wanting to find out more about our specific program, talk to our students, etc., we welcome you to come to our own event, our SMU Masters Day, happening on Saturday, 3rd of October as well. And again, our contact is in here. Please get in touch. Our Masters website has all the information that you would want for our program, and connect with us through other social media there as well. So with that, I think my time is exactly at 1:20. Let me pass it back to the host.